Kevin's on the YouTube.
But, you know,
hey, Kevin.
Whatever, that's my channel. And if I ever write like a book or
Yankee Chips Ahoy cookies.
Poetry, art, music,
and milk.
Design. Those are things I find interesting. The discoveries that we have scientifically about the nature of everything, I think is pretty cool. The discovery of boson particles, I think is pretty badass.
That's badass.
Even though, like, there's nothing that I can do with that information, knowing that there's boson particles floating around.
Okay, did the badass thing. I don't really understand badass. Maybe you have some points. Somebody who can play a song in French. Why you seem like a badass? Not bloody likely. Anyway. Socio-political economic issues you spoke of. Is capitalism socialism? Yeah, I think it is. At one time I would have balked at it. Of course, I was under the influence of capitalism, the unknown ideal, and all that sort of stuff. But then, you got to be careful about that too, because I know that the capitalism that exists is not the capitalism that was spoken to in some of the stuff that I read about, because it's not supposed to be kind of, what do you call it, corruption, and then the favoritism and cronyism and all the stuff that goes on now with that stuff. I mean, it's just like any ism, socialism, capitalism, communism, fascism. Well, I don't know about fascism. Well, it could be, but any of the isms you find are all composed of people, and one of the interesting things about people is they can find a way to try to take advantage or corrupt things in ways that will benefit them, although they may not see it as corruption, so that we're doing it for something. It's just like a lot of the justifications for the things that go on in capitalist America, corporate America, is to say that we need to better the country. We need to do it by being the most powerful, to be able to overtake any of our enemies. And the best way to do that is to be the greatest economic power. And to do that, we have to cow down and cater to all the corporations and make sure that they create the most wealth. But you know how that bullshit goes. It's just another form of deterioration, because just like anything else, in all civilizations, what I seem to have noticed is that you watch history, every single civilization that's ever come along eventually has collapsed. It's just inevitable. It has to. It's because of the nature of what it is. And this is my own discoveries, my own observations, is seeing all this stuff that goes on. Different times people point out certain things that seem to be fundamental elements. I mean, all living things tend to maximize their resources. It's just the nature of things. If they didn't do it, they wouldn't survive. It's because the ones that have survived have been the ones who have maximized some resource of theirs at some time or another that happened to give them an advantage during any kind of sudden environmental changes. So that gene is carried on. That's the best way I can explain it anyways. And we all tend to do that. One of the things we have found is that social existence does have a great benefit. So going along, we tend to maximize our resources, increase society, expand it, grow it in economics and all the rest of the stuff. It keeps on growing and growing. And if eventually, because we do maximize it, we will build it up to the largest, the greatest potential, to where it goes beyond our capacity to support it, and it will collapse. It's basically what I think has happened in the past, all the civilizations, and ours will collapse also, or it will undergo certain changes in society that allow it to be able to support even a larger, grander society. And no matter what mechanisms we put in place to allow it to do that, we eventually will, again, do the same thing. We're going to maximize our resources. We're going to overtake the capacity of our systems to support the society, and it will collapse again. It's just inevitable. It's just the way it goes. So yeah, we have that to look forward to. And I've come to a point where I finally have decided that what society is, or what a government should be, an ideal government, in my own simple-minded mental meanderings, the ideal of a government should be the custodian of society. The idea that what is important is the individuals in the society, and the best way to support the individuals in society is present a system that is conducive to their existence. One of those things is to allow us to interact, to be able to expand our ability to interact, because we do benefit a great deal from it. The knowledge expansion that we do, the internet, I think, is a great idea, and the YouTube, well, a lot of people will belittle it in certain ways, but for me it's a great medium because I'm so graphically oriented that this presents the things that I've been able to learn a great deal from compared to trying to read. I'm such a slow reader when it comes down to it. I do read, but this has been of tremendous benefit. I've been able to actually do what I like doing, is talking to people and getting that exchange going and asking questions and doing things like that. That's marvelous. I love that. But if government was geared towards simply acting as the custodian of society, rather than the way it's gone, basically you always see it all the time, oh, we got to do this. For what? For the economy, for the economy, for the economy. It's always expanding the economy and all this sort of stuff. It seems to have become at the expense of all else. Society, well, is secondary. You know, it's not as important as economy. Which, it becomes a monster in and of itself. It's like any of the institutions that we build, they become self-serving. Yeah, just like a living organism eventually, because they do end up becoming self-serving, and they do end up doing the same thing as a living organism does, that maximize their resources, and that's why we end up with these big mega corporations, big monsters. They end up being bogged down by bureaucracy and unable to function anymore because they've gone beyond. They've maximized themselves to the point where they are no longer the structures that they committed to it are no longer capable of supporting the system that they built, and eventually they collapse. It's just the nature of things. I worry sometimes about the evolution of the human animal, that we're going to become this kind of ant colony, where we basically have specialized to the effect where we don't have that individual capacity for guiding our own lives, to have a society where people can interact in a meaningful way. We've gone beyond it to the point where there's too many people, and our capacities, we only can take in so many people at once. It's funny the way things work. You go into an apartment building. I used to live in an apartment building, didn't know anybody. I live in a house now, I know everybody. There's a limited number of people. There's something more open about it. I don't know what it is, but we've gone, we tend to go beyond the capacity of people to socialize, I think, to put it in simple terms. Simple-minded me, I know. I'm not saying that this is what it is, but it's just observations on my own part. But we seem to have gone beyond our capacities to actually interact in a meaningful way, where we can say, hey Joe, hi Fred, you know, this sort of thing, where you actually know people, you get to know them over a period of time. It develops a kind of a cohesion, whereas we've gone to this point where nobody knows anybody. There's no real connectivity and no interlocution, no cohesion to hold it together, and it very easily flies apart. Or maybe that works to the advantage of those who are in power, to be able to allow things to fall apart quickly, or keep people from being connected and form a united front against the corruption and monstrosity that sometimes develops in societies. There's a lot we've got to do. There's a lot we got to think about. Who knows, maybe this internet stuff will act as another kind of infrastructure intricate to the expansion of society to a larger format, until it comes overpowered and collapses itself. Just another step, huh? Just a thought. Anyways, good talking to you. Talk to you later. Well, in terms of music, badass, something off the top of my head right now strikes me. Billy Joel, Downeaster Alexa. I like that. It's cool.